In fact, I am the only person representing the victims here, and on their behalf, I am asking you to allow the prosecutor to institute proceedings against Barriaguiza, who was accused of genocide and crimes against humanity, and whose indictment was confirmed. He is therefore no longer a suspect. He is an accused. Whether we like it or not, due account has to be taken of the fact that we depend on the government of Rwanda to continue our investigations and to conduct our trials. Were Barriaguiza not to be tried by this tribunal, the only alternative would be to hand him over to the state of Rwanda, or else, I fear, as we say in Italian, possiamo chiudere la baracca. We can close down the shop.
Possiamo chiudere la baracca. On peut fermer la porte.
In my country,
the Rwandan authorities dispatched the country's Attorney General, Gerald Gahima, to appear as amicus curiae to defend the position of his government.
Of victims of sexual violence and other victims.
Jean Bosco Barriaguiza was kept in prison until the chamber gave its decision.
It's inconceivable to them that someone can be released on technical grounds.
Our complaint was that the tribunal was setting him free without trying him because of procedural irregularities, like the delays in bringing him to trial. Now, we, the people of Rwanda, we are not the ones who delayed his trial. It's the tribunal. So we do not feel he should be set free because of the mistakes of the tribunal's personnel.
On account of which we believe that
Carla Del Ponte's first contact with Rwanda was a failure. The prosecutor could not go to Kigali, or rather she could, but would not be received by the Rwandan authorities. At best, she could meet her own staff in the Kigali office.
Which this tribunal was established to adjudicate.
Si cette cour a décidé de libérer l'appelant avec préjudice, c'est parce qu'elle a voulu le dire. Maintenant, ce qu'elle fait, ce que le procureur peut faire ultérieurement, c'est à elle de le décider. Mais la Cour a tranché la question. Et à mon avis, cette Cour est functus officio.
Il y a une procédure de révision qui est prévue.
There is a review procedure provided for the accused, or the prosecutor may find new facts that were not raised in the appeals proceedings. A review of the decision may therefore be requested.
Peut donc demander la révision de la décision.
The appeals chamber reconsidered its decision and decided not to release Jean Bosco Barriaguiza. In order to expedite trial proceedings and silence the critics, President Leti Kama requested the General Assembly to authorize the creation of a third trial chamber. The tribunal at first had 6 judges who sat in 2 trial chambers, all of whom were elected in May 1995 for a 4-year term. The other 5 judges were Judge Navanathan Pillay from South Africa, Judge William Sekule from Tanzania, the presiding judge of Trial Chamber 2, Judge Lennart Aspergren from Sweden, Judge Yakov Ostrovsky from Russia, and Judge Tafazal Hossein Khan from Bangladesh. The election by the United Nations General Assembly of the judges for the new trial chamber took place at the same time as the renewal of the mandate of the first team of judges, 2 of whom, Judge Aspergren and Judge Khan, did not seek renewal of their mandates. The other 4 judges were re-elected for a second 4-year term. Shortly afterwards, 5 new judges were elected. Lloyd George Williams from St Kitts and Nevis, Pavel Dolenc from Slovenia, Eric Mercer from Norway, Mehmet Gune from Turkey, and Dionysios Kondilis of Greece. The latter resigned a month later for personal reasons, whereupon the United Nations Secretary-General appointed Asoka Desoisa Gunawardana from Sri Lanka. The tribunal then numbered 14 judges sitting in 3 trial chambers, composed of 3 judges each, and an appeals chamber made up of 5 judges. No 2 of the judges may have the same nationality. The appeals chamber, which is common to the 2 ad hoc tribunals, is presided over by Judge Claude Jourda of France. He had followed Judge Gabriel Kirk MacDonald from the United States, who in turn was the successor of Antonio Cassese of Italy. On the 25th of September 2000, an information centre was inaugurated in Kigali as part of a public information and awareness project known as the Outreach Programme. The centre is called Umusanzu mu Buyunge, which in Kinyarwanda means contribution to reconciliation. The centre houses a public information service, a library of reference material on international criminal law and the case law of the tribunal. It's intended as a venue for the exchange of ideas, and above all to inform and sensitise Rwandan citizens on the accomplishments of the tribunal and thus to contribute to national reconciliation.
Considering the general practice regarding prison sentences in Rwanda, considering that George Rutaganda has been found guilty of genocide, count 1, crime against humanity, exterminations.
George Rutaganda, a former leader of the Interahamwe militia in the Kigali region, Alfred Musema, and several other leaders were found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment by Trial Chamber 1.
Sentences George Rutaganda to a single sentence of life imprisonment for all the counts on which he has been found guilty.
Trial Chamber 2, presided by Judge William Sekule of Tanzania, for its part successfully concluded the first ICTR joint trial. That was the trial of Clement Kayeshema, the former prefect of Kibuye, and Obed Ruzindana, a former Kibuye-based businessman.
Vous n'aviez pas d'uniforme de préfet?
They were sentenced to life and to 25 years, respectively.
Selon Kayeshema,
the appeals chamber has since upheld both sentences.
Dès lors, je cite, que le procureur s'est rendu lui-même sur les lieux et pas les conseils.
Vous pouvez vous asseoir.
On the 6th of October 2000, one of the most important ICTR trials began. It was the joint trial of 3 accused who are all former leaders of the Rwandan media. Jean Bosco Bariagwiza, whom the appeals chamber had ordered to be kept in detention, Hassan Ngeze, former editor of Kangura newspaper, and Ferdinand Nahimana, former director of RTLM radio station. They were to have been joined in the dock by a 4th accused, Georges Rudjou, a Belgian former RTLM journalist. He is the only non-Rwandan to be accused of genocide, and, after first denying that he had participated in the massacres, he later changed his plea and entered a plea of guilty. He has since testified against his former bosses.
Liège, Belgium, 2. Count 1, direct and public incitement to commit genocide, a term of 12 years imprisonment. And on count 2, crime against humanity, persecution, a term of 12 years imprisonment. You shall serve these 2 sentences concurrently.
The atmosphere at the beginning of the media trial was tense. Jean Bosco Bariagwiza and Hassan Ngeze each dismissed their counsel and refused to appear.
Mon arrivée au centre de détention ce matin à 07h45, j'ai moi-même été voir.
Upon my arrival on duty at 7:45 this morning, I personally went and saw the detainee, Jean Bosco Bariagwiza, and asked him to get prepared to go to court. And on 3 occasions he said no, he would not appear in court, and that his lawyers would explain his reasons to the court.
donnerai les raisons à la Cour.
Vous comprendrez que notre client s'exprime en ce sens qu'il est impossible pour lui de subir un procès juste et équitable devant ce tribunal qui, en d'autres mots, est en quelque sorte dirigé, pour reprendre les termes de mon client, par le régime de Kigali.
You have been appointed to look after the interests of Mr. Baragwiza. We all hope that he will reconsider his decision and attend court because it's of crucial importance to him.
He sought to kill children, women, babies, innocent civilians, and his microphone to call for genocide.
The trial started nonetheless. Trial Chamber 1, presided by Judge Pillay, who had succeeded Judge Kama as the president of the tribunal, and her colleagues were ready to hear the first witnesses.
As powerful managers of the written press and the radio. The radio quickly announced the death of the president and put the blame firmly and squarely on the FPR and the Tutsis. By the morning of the 7th, the streets of Kigali were already littered with bodies of Tutsis and Hutu moderates. The genocide of the Tutsis and the extermination of the Hutu moderates, long planned, had now begun.
Le discours de l'accusation aujourd'hui.
The language of the prosecution today is a departure from the law. Indeed, has it ever been close to the law?
Pour donner, dans une approche politique,
it is more political, more ideological, and closer to propaganda, both in terms of its content and methods.
Avec les moyens de la propagande. Nous avons vu sur nos écrans.
While prosecution counsel, Mr. Muna, was talking of something else, we saw images on our monitors but did not know where they came from.
Je suis inquiet qu'aujourd'hui le parquet
I am worried that today the prosecution has confused the issues, using oversimplification and manipulation. In other words, the prosecution today used methods for which it reproaches the accused.
Il reproche à ceux qu'il poursuit.
Freedom of the press is on trial in this courtroom. Defense disagrees mightily with the prosecution when they say that this is a simple case. It's not a simple case. This is a landmark case. This is one of the most important cases to come before mankind because what's on trial here is freedom of the press. Intellectual freedom is on trial in this chamber.